This is Iona on MPC Standalone, an iconic 80s monophonic synth with a classic sound reimagined for your MPC. In this video, we'll walk through the sounds and parameters of Iona and explore what makes this synth create such great sounds and iconic grooves. Before we go over all the sections of Iona, let's have a listen to some of the amazing presets that come inside. Now let's build a sound from scratch, diving into each section of Iona and see how it will help us mold and shape the sound. On the main page, we have the modulator, VCO, and source sections. Let's start with an init patch and see how each section works. On the right side of the main page, we have the sources. These are the sound generators for Iona: a pulse, sawtooth, sub, and noise. We can use an individual source or blend all four together. Moving to the VCO or voltage controlled oscillator, we can change the range of the sound and introduce some pulse width modulation to the pulse source. The pulse width can be affected either manually or from the LFO or envelope. Bringing up the mod slider will introduce pitch modulation to the sound based on the parameters of the modulator section. Here we can change the speed either in hertz or in sync to the project tempo, or change to a variety of different shapes to see how the LFO affects the sound. Then in the lower left section, we have a gear icon that pulls up all the settings. Here we can change the settings for the Bender mod, as well as set a custom color to the different theme of this preset. One unique feature about Iona is that this color will save to the presets, meaning I could have all of my basses in a blue skin, and then I could also have all of my leads in a gold, and I will see that saved into the individual presets to recall later. Now here on the second page, we have the VCF, VCA, and envelope. These will allow us to shape our sound even further. The VCF, or voltage control filter, allows us to filter out the high frequencies and also introduce filter resonance to get that classic acid filter sound. We can automate the movement of the filter using the three sliders on the right. Bringing up the envelope slider will have the filter follow the envelope settings on the right, or the mod slider, which connects us back to the modulator LFO section on the first page. The VCA, or voltage controlled amplifier, determines how the volume of the sound will be shaped. In the gate mode, the sound basically turns on and off as a pad is pressed. If we want more fine-tuning of how the sound is shaped, we can move over to the envelope, which gives us access to the attack, decay, sustain, and release of the sound. So for something like a pluck sound, we could have a short attack and a short decay. Or we could bring up all of our parameters for a sound that's a little bit more gentle and hangs around after we've released the pad. Let's finish off our sound design with the Effects tab. Here we have access to 4 different effects: lo-fi, delay, reverb, and EQ. We can turn on and off each one of these effects by clicking on the power button on the left, and also focus our editing clicking on the effects. So let's add a little bit of all 4 of these different effects. Now that our sound is complete, let's take a look at how we can sequence out some melodic ideas. The ARP allows us to hold down chords and cycle through the notes, or use the hold feature to press on the pad and lock in the ARP. We can change the style of the ARP. We can also use a gate to shorten the length of the notes being triggered. This is really great to clean up any sort of messiness that we have at higher BPMs. The step sequencer is very straightforward in design. Simply click inside of the step window and drag up and down to select the note that you want in that specific step, or click on the header above in order to manually click in the actual note that you want. You can deactivate and activate steps here at the bottom. You can also change the rest and the ties by clicking into the lower section and dragging up and down to activate different styles of legato, rests, and ties. The step sequencer can be up to 128 steps long, which are all accessible by the upper tabs here in groups of 16 steps. One unique feature is the ability to transpose the entire sequence here on the right. Also, you can shift the start point to try out different starting points for the sequence that is in focus here. Since this is a classic synth workflow, using the C3 note will trigger the playback of the sequence at its root position. You can also then transpose the entire sequence just by selecting different paths to transpose the entire sequence up or down. I hope this overview helps you get started with all the sonic capabilities inside of Iona on MPC standalone. Explore its sonic capabilities with this classic synth reimagined for the MPC standalone platform.